Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg by Night Podcasting Network. Tonight, we present to you our behind-the-scenes show, After Dark.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network, where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Kent, and I am the lead storyteller on St. Petersburg by Night. But tonight, I'm playing the role of host because this is After Dark, our behind-the-scenes program where we talk to some movers and shakers, we talk to storytellers, we talk to writers, we talk to players, we talk to podcasters, we talk to content creators, we talk to pretty much anyone under the sun, moon, and stars that is involved in the world of darkness and making this game possible and still keeping this little world going after 30 plus years. Anybody who's been passionate about this world has been a featured guest on this program, and we have a very, very special featured guest on this program tonight with a very, very impressive CV. But we're going to talk about that in just a second. If you like what you've seen here, or if you're new to the program or new to this channel, why don't you try going and following St. Pete by Night on all that social media that you see listed up above here and down in the description, because we'd love to have you stick around if you're new here, or if you have been here for a while and you aren't following all that stuff. What are you even doing with your life? Like, social media has been around for a while. Like, get on it and get involved. Plus, why not join our amazing community by following that Discord link down below, because we have 200 plus members in this amazing community, and you can get involved with many of the incredible discussions we have, or the activities that we take part in, or the games that we have running pretty much all the time, and one-shots that are available. So just come join the community and be part of the fun. But enough of my yammering on and sales pitches. Let's get to introducing our amazing, amazing guest. I'd like to introduce Josh, also known as Jersh, who, like I said, this CV is impressive. The community manager for the Chinese room, a incredible content creator with a YouTube channel that has, if I'm reading this correctly, like 12,000 or more subscribers. You have a TikTok channel that has incredible content on it. You were a star on Pod by Night. It's just a list that seems to go on and on and on. So why don't I just pass it over to you to properly introduce yourself, because I don't think I'm even getting everything that could go on that impressive resume. Please take over.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's really great to be here. I've been quite excited to just talk about World of Darkness generally for since you contacted me a couple of months ago. That was great. But goodness, where do I begin? Yes, I until recently was the community manager for the Chinese room, working on Bloodlines 2. I have been a YouTuber for the past 10 years, but working on TTRPGs specifically for probably the last 5, maybe. With Strange Adventures being my own channel, but I started on Roll for It, and then the crew, the vampire crew there, were very excited to do more vampire, so then we created Pod by Night, as well as, making some really talented and incredible friends all over, Huddy von Schland and the Rolling Nomads, and being invited very, very in very humbling ways to join really really impressive and cool tables full of excited and exciting people. So yeah, I've been blessed to be able to just role play my little heart out and talk about my passions, which are game design, learning, sharing, being creative with both lore, rules, narrative, and helping people into the world of darkness, tabletops, and hobbies generally, because the more people that are here, the more perspectives we get, and the more exciting and varied stories that we end up hearing and being a part of. Well, so yeah,
I love that the World of Darkness community, much like the Malkavian Cobweb, there's so many connections, because like all of those people you've mentioned are people that I have met through doing this show, through like just in the past couple of years. I've talked with Huddy, I've met and gotten to know the Rolling Nomads. Like, it's such a beautiful community of these connections that are formed. And we do have all of these amazing conversations. And it's because of this game that's brought us all together.
Yeah.
And the wider TTRPG hobby as a whole that's brought us all together. And it's a beautiful thing that connects us over this vast and magnificent distance. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful that it's become as popular and widely accepted as it has, because I come from an age of the Satanic Panic, and when it wasn't as widely accepted, like it was kind of something that you were ashamed of or hid from, the world at large that you were a fan of. And now it's everywhere. You can't escape it. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful that it's gotten that far. But let's take it back for you. When did you first hear about or discover TTRPGs, and did you have any preconceived notions about it before you experienced it for yourself?
Yeah, so I was always part of a group of nerds in high school, but we were the kind of nerds that spent a lot of time playing things like Guitar Hero, and we took time off school to Smash, all of that. We got really, really deeply into all of these video games and like wargaming. And D&D was always one of those things that you'd heard about, but you didn't know anyone that had played. This was kind of England in the noughties, and so we'd ended up talking about it, and then it was one of those things where we'll just be massive nerds, and no one has to know. And oh god, what did we call it? We were so embarrassed about being this kind of uber nerd that we literally called it Project Sexy Ladies, just to hide, so we could talk about it without
tipping anybody
damaging
off.
Our cred.
You gotta have a code word or code name for it. Absolutely.
Exactly. Because if you said D&D out loud at high school, you would get crucified.
Oh, absolutely.
No, so I ended up pirating 4th edition D&D because my friends didn't want to GM, and I just read literally every single player and Dungeon Master book front to back, and I figured out the rules. No one else knew what was going on, and we just muddled our way through it for like 3 or 4 sessions with like Lego figurines, and we just I made the worst, most grindy, dumb dungeon about saving a pope or something, and it was terrible, but it was just a ton of fun. And I think at that point it was the time of really early actual plays as well, like Acquisitions Incorporated, and all of the green text stories on the not Something Awful, but the giant forums. I forget what they're called, the TTRPG forums, like Silver Claw. She wrote all of her D&D stories out, and the All Guardsman Party for Warhammer, and I just ravenously consumed all of these things that I could find, and they were nowhere to be found outside of these very, very specific things that people were making. And as I grew up, I didn't get to play a lot of D&D until I was in my early 20s at that point. And I kept on complaining to my friend, who was also a massive nerd, and he was like, well, I mean, I've got a vampire game going on. I was like, never heard of that. And he's like, yeah, like my friends homebrewed this kind of, the world is ending, and there's like all of these different supernaturals, and like some of us are werewolves, some of us are vampires, and you can join if you want, and we'll just, you know, I'll teach you about Vampire the Masquerade. And so I played this crooked homebrewed version of Revised Edition, and it was ridiculous fun. And that was my longest running at that point campaign that I just joined for the next like 3 years, and it was brilliant fun.
So what do you remember about that first character in that first Vampire the Masquerade game, even though it was a kind of a homebrewed, distorted version of the revised rules? What do you remember about the story, and what do you remember about the character?
I think my favorite thing about the story was that the GM Bryn really loved extremely unwinnable scenarios to really push you are a weak, pathetic, tiny vampire in an unforgiving, horrifying world. Like, stuff would explode or disappear, or like elders would turn up. I literally got to fight because it was a Gehenna scenario. Like,
right.
Literally, he was like, we are playing out a Gehenna scenario that I've made. So I literally got to fight Nosferatu, like the antediluvian, who was hiding in like Loch Ness or something. And it was very goofy. But then in between that, there were all these beautiful moments where we would see each person's character getting further away or closer to their eventual demise. Like, this is like, we played out every single step of the end of the world, all the way through to the werewolf deities literally recreating everything at the very, very end of the campaign. It was epic in a way that Vampire the Masquerade is not normally.
Right.
But it was a really nice, casual, and friendly group. And I think that's what I enjoyed, because I did not know how to take role-playing particularly seriously at that point. So I made a Nosferatu who was like an ex-Russian mafia guy. And he didn't really know a lot, which helped me because I didn't really know a lot.
Sure.
So I would push all the buttons, I would piss off all the vampires, I would like punch things I wasn't supposed to, and every now and again that would either get me in trouble or like have a wonderful miraculous save happened. And that was my first Nosferatu, Alex. But it was funny because the first clan that really caught my eye was the Tremere, and I wasn't allowed to play a Tremere because there was already a Tremere in the group, and I was like, I really want to do lots of magic, and he's like, we got that covered.
It's fine.
So like really trying to, yeah.
Well, that's jumping into the deep end too for a new player with blood sorcery and everything that's involved with playing a Tremere. Like that's going extra hard mode early on for a first character. But I do love that concept, and I encourage new players all the time to go in having known nothing. Like, go in as a brand new, fresh vampire. Don't go in as an elder or anything like that, because I feel like that requires so much study. But go in as a freshly turned vampire, because then all of the ignorance you as a player has transitions so perfectly to the character. You don't have to have knowledge of what you can do and what all these clans mean and you know, the dynamics and relationships. You can learn all of that through your character's eyes and absorb that information naturally, because I found World of Darkness and Vampire the Masquerade specifically is a very intimidating game to new players because of how much lore and information there is. And it's so much easier to just be like, you don't need it. Just go in with fresh eyes and, soak it up over time. Don't try to, eat the whole elephant at once. Just start with the tail and start with the little bites at once and work your way through it, because it's a lot. It's overwhelming, but I love that fresh eye perspective. Absolutely. So what was it about the game or the setting that really hooked you? Did you have a previous love of horror or the genre or vampires specifically, or was there something that called to you about the Vampire the Masquerade or the World of Darkness specifically that made you want to stick with it all these years? Because it is a very niche game. It's kind of after the late 90s, early 2000s, it really did fade into the background of TTRPGs for a very long time, until recently when it really reemerged again. It was kind of a background game compared to your D&Ds and Pathfinders and some of these other games. So what was it about this game that called to you?
Honestly, I had not done a lot of horror watching. Obviously, I was a massive fan. I think like zombies were huge at that time, so I watched a lot of zombie films. But like, I didn't watch or read a lot of horror at that time. And I think the thing that really drew me in was the modern fantasy part, where fantasy had never really appealed to me. Sword and sorcery, high or low, never really fit with the kind of stories that I enjoyed. Whereas the politics, the secrets, the just abject horror at being presented with scenarios where you knew something important was going on, but you didn't know everything about the situation, that kept me hooked. And then from those situations, you try and muddle your way through, and with the tiny amount of leverage that you were allowed as a fledgling vampire. And I think, vampires were always cool, but it's more the the political side of things. I think that's what really drew me in, because I'd never had an experience quite like that, where I got to solve situations by talking to people, and that was much more exciting and much more dynamic in ways that I'd not considered before, because obviously D&D was combat game. So I think there were a lot of really new and exciting concepts to me that all kind of came at once, where I was just at a point where I needed a new universe to absorb. I can remember walking around town to and from our sessions with my friend, pestering him with questions about Mithras, who'd we'd just encountered in that in that last session. I was like, okay, but like, if he's the Prince of London, where the fuck has he been all this time? Sorry, can I? Sorry,
yes, absolutely. No, absolutely, absolutely. So, when did that love of the game? When did you transition from player to storyteller? Because that's a big leap. Like, obviously, you had tried the running of games in D&D right off the bat, because you wanted it so bad that you learned it all yourself and immediately started by running games. But you had joined a vampire game that was already running when you first started World of Darkness. When did you decide to take a stab at it yourself as a storyteller?
Vampire specifically?
Or any World of Darkness property, yeah.
Honestly, I think my first... Am I getting this right? Yeah, my first time GMing, or STing, sorry, Vampire the Masquerade is recorded. It is my Bloodlost series on Strange Adventures.
Really?
I had GM'd quite a bit, doing lots of one-shots in different systems, but the advent of 5th edition Vampire was my debut into GMing Vampire.
Wow, okay.
and I I partly started it because I was spending so much time talking to Mathis about Vampire the Masquerade, and like a bunch of my friends that eventually ended up joining that campaign. And he was talking about starting up Shadows of SOS. I can't remember what the first one was. Silence of Shadows. SOS on Roll for It. And I was like, damn, I'm really jealous. I wanna do a vampire campaign with some of my buddies, and so I set up Bloodlost, and we just kind of went from there. It wasn't particularly well thought out in retrospect, but it was a lot of fun, and it was a great learning experience for building things out with, some of the lore that I knew, some of the new things that I was excited about for 5th edition, specifically Thin Bloods, which was the premise of that show, which like all the players were Thin Bloods, and they joined, and we were all kind of learning about the worlds through that together, which I'm actually super hyped about Project Ghostlight, because they're doing this a similar thing, except with much more experienced players. So hopefully that goes a bit better. But yeah.
Well, and that takes so much courage too, to have your first ever running of a game be recorded, to have it aired in front of people. Like, I couldn't have even imagined, because I know my first World of Darkness game was a complete disaster. Like, it was a complete catastrophe. So yeah, I tip my cap to you for just taking the leap and just recording the first one. That's absolutely amazing. Like, yeah, hats off to you for that. When did your gaming circle, like, when did you expand out to the internet? Because like, going from just playing with friends in a local environment to the internet, a lot of people attribute that to the pandemic, obviously, when we were all forced inside and forced to expand our circles outward. When did you really find yourself kind of reaching out to the internet age and to a whole new wide array of people to find a gaming group or a gaming circle?
Yeah. I think I know that it's a very specific story, actually. So I had been a YouTuber since about 2011, and I'd become gone full professional in 2016, doing video game content, like with indie games. And through that, I met a bunch of really cool people. One of whom was Splattercat, who was really into Warhammer 40k, and he did. He was one of the people that set up Roll for It alongside like Bentham, and I got to know Bentham. And then through that, Splattercat was like, "Hey, I got to take a hiatus from this thing, but I need a replacement player. Do you wanna hop in?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And through that, I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I play tons of TTRPGs. I've got this like vampire game, and I got this like Powered by the Apocalypse game that I'm doing." And he was like, "Oh, I never knew this about you." So I ended up meeting the Roll for It crew through that, and my first online experience of doing TTRPGs was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer series on Roll for It, GM'd by EE, playing alongside Bentham and Maggie and Random Tuesday, and it was like just the most interesting and like immediate dynamic between the players, where we all had lots of we didn't know each other very well, but we all had lots of kind of excitement and like a really fun dynamic where we could bounce things off of each other, and we built a very, very Buffy story, and that one is called Layla the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, and that
is...
was a really unique and cool system too, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer system. But it was
I really liked it.
It was
a
really cool
after
system.
We'd got a bunch of XP, but
that's an amazing.
It was
system.
really cool.
Yeah, especially to get exposed to and again be broadcasted is a really cool thing to get your feedback on. out there. That's amazing. So when did you talk to me through like getting into YouTubing as a thing and making video game content? When did you first decide to get involved with that? You said 2016, you'd been doing it since, but what made you decide to get into that avenue of doing things, and why? When did you start introducing your gaming content, your TTRPG content, and why?
The very beginning of my YouTubing career, if you can call it that.
It is. It's very
started
much
back
a
in-
career.
Oh yeah, no, true. It's how I got where I am, I suppose. At the very, very beginning, I was doing it as a fun hobby in university. So I was doing a biochemistry course, and if I am allowed to get a little bit vulnerable here, I was very unhappy, and this was like a fun, creative outlet that really gave me a spark of joy, a focus, and something to really build that was just for me, and it felt so special. And I was, everyone who starts out making social media content does really rubbish and slightly embarrassing things on the internet. And I think listening back to my very first videos, I was like, whew, that wasn't good, but it sure was a lot of fun to make and learn how to make as well, because it was an ongoing process. And from there, I never stopped. I really, really loved it. And the one thing that I was really passionate about throughout all that time was, weird little indie games. I found this weird game called Minecraft. I found Project Zomboid when it first came out, and like Slime Rancher, all of these, little indie games that I was excited about. And then I found other people who were like also looking for those unique experiences. And I feel like that's something that has been kind of a thread through all of the creative projects that I've been through on the internet. And yeah, through that transition to TTRPGs, through meeting Splattercat and then Roll For It, I was like, I want kind of just to continue doing things the way I've always done them, which is build a YouTube channel, help teach people things so that I can learn at the same time, and kind of it's very interesting. I think in a strange way, me making mistakes and saying things that are very subjective in my videos, especially teaching people Vampire the Masquerade, has taught me quite a lot through the comments, because people will just straight up like disagree in a very, very respectful manner, and they'll be like,
that's saying something on YouTube. That's definitely
I know.
saying something.
And I am constantly in awe. Obviously there's always bad apples, but like they're so easy to ignore. People write entire diatribes about why something did or didn't work for them in my comment sections. I'm like, I hadn't considered that, or that's a new way, or that specific scenario makes a lot of sense. And that sense of community and shared learning was something that I enjoyed a lot. So starting up Strange Adventures was kind of a no-brainer, where I shared that first vampire show. I shared all of the planning and insights that I'd gleaned just on the way, and getting to share new actual plays with people was just something that I always enjoyed. So I did weird random one-offs as well. So yeah.
Well, and one of your most impressive credits on that website or on your YouTube page, because it did, of course, do a deep dive into it, is your deep dive into the 5th edition rules. That video has 54,000 views. Like that one hit, obviously, in just the right spot, which is like really, really impressive. And one of the things that I really like about your videos in my experience of watching them, is you have you have an incredible speaking voice. First off, let's just get that right out the bat. And the accent doesn't hurt either, coming from the American perspective of things. But you talk in a very easy to absorb manner. Like, you have a very kind and calm way of speaking, but you also speak in a very easy to process way, regardless of your level of knowledge on the topic. So, like, as a listener, whether you're coming from an experienced perspective or from fresh eyes, new perspective, I feel like you can understand the material that you are trying to relay, because you use very layman's terms, and you do it you don't go on long diatribes. You don't go on long, like, very complicated concepts. You do make it in digestible pieces, and you say it in ways that it's like easy to follow with what you're going, and you don't overstay your welcome in the videos. Like, you make sure that it's enough for you to, like, walk away from and be like, okay, I understand, and you can think on it a little bit before you move on to the next video. And I really do appreciate that about the content of yours that I've seen, is like, it's all very easy to digest, but it's informative at the same time, and it leaves you with stuff to take away from it. And even for an experienced player like me, who's been at this for, again, more years than I'd like to admit publicly, it's really, really good information to have. And you did work on the Hunter, the Reckoning rules. You did work on the Vampire rules. I mean, you're a great source for people who are looking to learn more about these games, or are just looking to get a sampling of it to see if it's something that they'd like.
Absolutely. And that's something I tried really hard to make sure that I did and did for people, because I have ADHD, and that is a battle, both in learning things but also in relaying things. So I don't know if you've noticed, but there are often a lot of jump cuts in my videos where I just entirely annihilate, like, 5 minutes of tangents, where I try very hard to keep myself focused, and either I have to do that through immense preparation, or I have to do that through editing, and it's really interesting. I have yes, a very specific way of talking, and I'm sure it doesn't gel with everyone, but I do try really hard to keep it in layman's terms, like you say, because I know there can be so much jargon. Like, World of Darkness is not about the jargon. It is like, no one cares what a Camarilla is. They care what an evil vampire organization is. They don't care what a Samitsi is. They care what a flesh crafting monster is. And I like to think that helps get to the heart of what's cool about all of these universes that I'm enjoying. And I will say I'm glad to hear all that feedback, because I'm constantly impressed and in awe, and always learning things from other YouTubers like Legal Kimchi, like AA Voight, like Cork Boards and Curiosities, because they have such great production value, and using the visuals in combination with, like, this beautiful storytelling of the points that they're trying to get across is so impressive and beautiful to me. These kind of YouTube video essays, I can't do that.
Well,
yeah.
I want to say, your production quality, in its simplicity, though, does show technique. Like, I would say that you do have good production quality on your videos, and it shows, because I have seen,
yes,
in my research of, YouTube and the internet, like, I've seen the whole gamut of, like, low quality people just shouting into a camera to, like, overproduced, lots of visuals with very little actual substance to the videos. And I feel like you walk this nice line of it's not too overstimulating, but it's still visually appealing. Like your videos have appeal to the point that even the way you dress in the videos, in some of the videos, has style. Like you bring a feel and a vibe to the videos so that the content, like you know what you're getting into just based off of that first 30 seconds of the video, based off of how you're presenting yourself and the content you're presenting. And like I dig it. I really dig the whole presentation of it all. And even when you break up the chapters with just those little cuts of like, this is what we're talking about next, this is it, it does make it enough to sit there and pay attention. But also you can just turn it on like a podcast and listen to it, and you're still going to get an enjoyment out of that too, because again, wonderful speaking voice, you have great diction, like it's just very easy to process it all. And I really found myself getting into your videos very easily and very quickly, and not getting lost in, you know, too much information or speaking too quickly, or the videos just droning on and on for too long like I have with some other creators in the past. Like that's not the case with your videos. Like it's very fascinating.
Yeah, I think anything that makes it quicker and easier to do as much as I can with my time and help, essentially because I really like to help people get into these universes quickly and easily, is an option that I take, basically.
So I want to ask this: what video was the most fun to make, and which video was the most difficult to make? Because I want to send people on kind of a scavenger hunt on your channel of finding these two videos, or these couple of videos. You don't have to name just one, but like of the videos that you filmed for your channel, which ones were like really fun and really like you really got excited about making and enjoyed making, and which ones did you find ended up being a little bit more difficult or a little bit more of a slog to make, or you just found to just be a pain in the butt really making them? And I want to send people off to kind of go see them for themselves.
The most fun, probably, I think I was very excited to make my video, which I can't remember what the title was, but basically the video was about comparing the Sabbat book and the Second Inquisition book.
Okay.
Because they'd come out in quite quick succession. I loved and hated parts of them for very specific reasons, and I really wanted people, because obviously like Sabbat can be quite contentious when you talk about it, Inquisition can be quite contentious when you talk about it, and I really wanted people to see why these books were so interesting, about ways that you could play the game using those factions, but also what it said about where 5th edition was going at that time. So there's a lot of really great things in those books that I loved, and a lot that I really hated about mostly Second Inquisition, but we won't have to get into that. You can watch the video. But I was really excited to be just that entire thing was I recorded and edited it in a day, because I was having so much fun talking about those books. And I think it's always much easier to remember bad things than it is good things. Honestly, my latest video was probably one of the hardest, because it had been a while since I'd recorded things. So my latest video is essentially top 5 tips if you've never DM'd or story told vampire before. Like, what is the vibe? Some of the law and rules things that you just don't think about when you're like going through the book. It doesn't like throw them in your face, so you got to kind of, and all the mistakes that I'd made when I was first coming into storytelling these things, and just kind of helping people prepare a bit better. But
It's so
I re-recorded each of those segments like 5, 6 times. It took so long to record that video and then to edit that video that I was like, by the time it had gone out, I was like very, very happy that it was done.
Oh, it's so funny that you mentioned that because I was actually going to bring that up next and compliment you on that video and really encourage
Yes,
people to
thank
go
you.
watch that video because I thought that it was so useful and it
Oh,
was such a great tool for anybody who's thought about getting into storytelling. I'm like, this is a perfect go-to early storyteller guide of just like getting your feet wet of like stuff
yeah.
new storytellers should know, and it'll make them feel a lot more comfortable about the process because like even going breaking it down to like how many vampires should be in a city. I love that you mentioned that in that
Hmm.
video because I think a lot of people get caught up in like what's enough, what's too many, what's too few. And I
Yeah.
loved the way you broke that down into like, well, this is what they say, but isn't it fun if there's too many? And here's the problems that can come up with there being too many. And like, it's not supposed to be an ideal world where the masquerade is safe. Like, it's supposed to be problematic and chaotic.
Yeah.
I just loved the way you broke it down so easily. And yeah, if that was a problematic video for you, the results were worth the problems, to be completely
Cool.
honest. Because that, yeah, I definitely encourage anybody watching this to go check out that latest video because it was very, very engaging and encouraging and, yeah, just very informative for anybody who's ever been interested in trying to run this crazy game. Because, yeah,
Yeah.
it just was useful information that you don't need from a storyteller's guide or anything like that. It was just really useful tips. So,
Yeah. On that specific video, I should give a shout out for the how many vampires. I was inspired by Kai the GM, who did a very similar kind of how does this work? How does it work with a masquerade, and why are these problems? And like, what does this mean for the amount of vampires in your city? And a bunch of his TikToks and shorts were really, really inspirational for that. But also, all of those things that I brought up in that video were questions that my friends had asked me while they were like, I've never GM'd before, or I've never storytold before, and I really want to get into vampire specifically. Like, I'm planning this chronicle. What's up with this? What's up with XP? What's up with planning out vampires and courts and all of this stuff? And how do I like specifically get into the vibe of vampire as opposed to Pathfinder or whatever that they'd done before? And I think those were things I wish I'd been told, but also, yeah, my friends were instrumental. Like Safi Pie in particular, she was like, "I'm planning this thing. What's going on?"
oh, yeah, it's so fantastic. And like I said, I encourage everybody to go check out that video because even as again, a 20 plus years storyteller at this point, it still gave a lot of things that even I was like, man, I wish I'd learned this so early on. This would have made me miss so many mistakes that I'd made early on had I had a
Yeah.
resource like this getting started. So go check out that video. Now let's talk about Pod by Night because you spent
Hmm.
some time doing the actual plays with that. You said that it came as a spin-off from a previous project you've done. So take me through this actual play journey that you've been on because you've been involved in a lot of projects and you've been involved with some friends of the show like Miss Magitech, who was a guest here previously. So just take us through this journey that started obviously, like you said, with your first actual play being the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell the story of how that led to
Um.
vampire actual plays and Pod by Night and whatever you're working on now.
Yeah. Pod by Night was basically uh, Bub Talks, Little Red Dot, Mathis, and I all getting really excited about vampire at conventions. Like, we went to Gen Con and we went to like a little gathering for a bunch of Roll for It people, and we just talked about vampire nonstop, essentially. And so Dot decided that one vampire show wasn't enough, and like brought everyone in on this, and we decided that we wanted, because Mathis had been doing a lot of podcasts, he knew a lot about that, and we wanted a very audio play style that could really really put the focus on character and atmosphere, and with in ways that longer actual plays often can't. We really wanted a lot of editing of like sound effects and music and atmosphere, and timing that when you're just streaming a thing and you don't edit it, you can't get. And obviously watching 4 hours of Critical Role can be great, but not everyone has the time for that. And we really wanted to make episodes that hit hard and hurt our characters and got quite intense quite quickly, so we could learn about these characters very quickly and go through a story that Mathis had prepared in New York about us essentially being these rejects. We reject vampires all banded together and learning how to survive the night when everything was stacked against you. Your upbringing, your siring, your political allies eventually turning against you, the city itself, and then everything kind of conspiring against you to ruin everything you ever had for in vampire fashion, very petty personal reasons from the antagonists. And it was just a really nice focused series. And we started with goodness, what was it called? There's so many names of shows floating around in my head. We're starting a new one, but not Cracked Crown. That's the one we're doing right now.
Well, there was Stitch of Fate. There was Desperate
Stitch of
Measures.
Fate. That's it. Stitch of Fate. That's where we started. And yeah, we really, really enjoyed the podcast format. So, and those characters. So we went on to Cracked Crown, which transferred our characters to the much more kind of fleshed out world of Chicago, and more to a kind of political building scenario. And yeah, we are about to embark on a non-podcast format show that we're starting. We're going to be continuing with Cracked Crown, with the same characters later this year. But right now we are building characters and about to start up to basically do our new show that follows in the footsteps of, if not the same universe, of SOS. So Shadows of Sybil was the last series that was on Roll For It, and we really wanted to kind of continue with that crew. And so the new one that we're working on now is set in Boston, and we are a very interesting collection. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is like little teasers we've put out on socials and our Discord for The Sin Providence, which is the name of the new stream show. So that's going to be like a long form epic in the same vein as SOS, which I'm so excited for. I can tell you that I'm going to be playing a Malkavian, which is something I've never done before.
Well, I love that as a Malkavian main. So
hell
that's my jam. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I definitely encourage everyone to stay tuned to the socials to keep up with all of that, and keep an eye on that when that comes out. Are there any other kind of actual play projects that you're working on right now that you want to let the people know about while we're in the actual play vein of things right now?
Right now, I am not working on any actual play things. I directly. I am a guest on Huddy's Berlin Bloodlines and Rolling Nomads. I'm part of Blood of the Covenant. I'm a guest in both of those. But I only turn up every now and again when they need me to be evil, which I really enjoy. So at the moment, I'm not doing anything. I will be doing non actual play stuff though on Strange Adventures. Right now, I am intensely excited about Trench Crusade, so I'm going to be doing stuff about that really, really soon. As well as maybe some Warhammer and definitely more World of Darkness, like literally anything World of Darkness. I have very early plans for some obscure and hopefully exciting World of Darkness videos. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, and let's talk about, are we going to see you taking up the ST mantle perhaps in a actual play or streaming capacity, possibly anytime in, the near future?
The only one that I can confidently say will happen is I will be STing on Pod by Night again.
Awesome.
For a short series. Hopefully at the end of this year. Nothing's pinned down yet, but I have story told a series called Scot Free on there, and hopefully we're going to be able to continue that with the same characters.
Fantastic.
So that's the soft plan right now. But yes, I absolutely love storytelling, and if I told you I was never going to storytell on Strange Adventures again, I would be a big fat liar. So
looking forward to that then, because we definitely want to see that. Now I want to transition to talking about the Chinese room, because you did say you spent some time there as a community manager, and obviously anybody who's familiar with your channel knows that you've been kind of keeping tabs on Bloodlines too, even from before your time working with them. So what can you tell us about, one, what was it like working with a company like Chinese Room or a video gaming company? Because I think any nerd worth their salt, especially from my days, always wondered, what's it like working with a video game company? Like, we all had that dream.
You get to play video games all day, obviously.
Being somehow involved with a video game company. So one, what was that like? How did you even get that opportunity or get involved with that? And, how did that process go? How'd you get a job like community manager? What was that like? What was the company like? And, let's start there.
So the way I got the job was they reached out to me specifically because of my knowledge of World of Darkness, and also I have been a community manager for like the last 5 years, working on a game called Clone Drone and the Danger Zone with Dobrorog Games, and that's a fantastic tiny indie team, and and now I'm working with them full time on a VR game called Hyperdome. But the Chinese room reached out to me and kind of asked what my experience was making content and making all sorts of normal community manager things and bringing people in and teaching them, as well as my experience at Dobrorog. And so after a bunch, normal job interview process is very boring. I ended up getting a job there, and only like on my, I think, so no, they made me sign an NDA.
Of course.
Before I did my first interview, so I did know what I was getting into. But actually, they messaged me, and I thought it was for one of their other projects. I can't remember what it was at this point, but I thought they were like, "Can you work on this game?" And I was like, "Yeah, that seems cool. Just send me all the info." And they were like, "No, sign this thing." So they told me about Bloodlines 2. And basically I then started gushing to them about the fact that I had been following Bloodlines 2 since the first rumors of its existence at Hardsuit Labs were floating around, and all of the, the, what do they call it? Not a mega game, the the social game online with all of the clues and stuff before they did the reveal. And I'd followed all of that, and I was super into all of the things that that they've been doing for it. And I, at one point, had I think I had said on a stream, and I think they might have seen it, where I was like guessing at who was making Bloodlines 2, because it was all quiet at that point. And I was like, who I want to make it and who I think are making it, I think the Chinese Room might be making it. And everyone in chat was like, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, well, I don't think I said Chinese Room. I think I said Sumo Digital, because like they do a lot of that kind of project. But who I said I wanted to make it, I was like, Arcane. I really want Arcane to make this game. But the thing is, Dishonored was like one of their primary influence, like inspirations on their, where they're on the drawing board for them. So they looked at that and they were like, that makes a lot of sense. I think he gets it. And it's true. I absolutely love Dishonored. And we've constantly talked about how, that's an inspiration for the game amongst all sorts of other contemporaries. But it was a really wild few months where I couldn't say anything about what I was doing.
Oh, sure.
And in fact, I was promoting Still Wakes the Deep and using a voice changer so that no one would guess that I was involved with Still Wakes the Deep, so that no one would be like, weird that vampire guy's working there. Yeah. So if you go look at the early TikToks on the Chinese Room TikTok channel, you'll hear a not quite me voice in a very me cadence.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's very funny.
So what kind of access did you have with Bloodlines during that time that you were with them? Did you find yourself involved in any of it, or were you just kind of on the outskirts looking in?
No, I was fully on that project. I did switch to Still Wakes the Deep during the launch, the pre-launch and launch period for that, and that's it was a fantastic project to work on. But no, I was from the beginning. I was there for Bloodlines, and the team were like excitedly talking to me about all of the things that they liked about World of Darkness and Vampire, and they were asking me questions. And like I was basically doing what I normally do, which is like investigating all of the different places that people congregate, like the Reddit and the Discords, and like roleplay servers like yours, and to see what people were talking about and how we can like really effectively communicate what Bloodlines is to people, because that's basically a community manager's job, right? But yeah, no, I was fully on that project. I got to see the different stages of evolution of the building of the game right up until I left. And yeah, they're just like a really passionate and talented team of like highly intelligent people that love their jobs, which is primarily just creating beautiful worlds, right? That's kind of the mission statement of, well, maybe not in those words, but that's how the studio sees itself. Yeah.
So would you say, I assume because of your love for even this game, even before you get involved with the project, you have experience with Bloodlines 1, obviously. Would you say fans of Bloodlines 1 are going to like what they're doing with Bloodlines 2? Because I think that's one of the things that we're all afraid of. Is, we've seen Swan Song, we saw, some of the other things that have been put out, and I think there's a reason people are nervous, obviously, with all the delays, with the changing of who's been making the game, with unknowns. There's so many unknowns, and it's been 30 years now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It's been such a long time.
worry, and a lot of pressure on a game like this. In no uncertain terms, from what you saw, one, are the people involved in the making of it people that were fans of the original game? And two, I'm trying to ask game questions that aren't going to get
Oh yeah, no, I'm like
dancing around it as much as possible. But like,
so there's a few things to this, which is basically like, absolutely, there were like deep, there were people that were deep into World of Darkness on that team, either just like lifetime fans or people that were into it because of working on that project, or just often because they played Bloodlines 1. Like, if you go read the dev diaries, I think that is the best way to see the kind of passion of some of these people. Like, one of the narrative team, Sarah Longthorne, has written about why she likes Vampire the Masquerade in general and what that means for like some of the narrative stuff in Bloodlines 2. And then obviously, like, there are people that are just there at the studio because they are passionate about making games. That's what they're good at. And they'd never encountered World of Darkness before, and now being part of the project, I think that's the same at literally every studio.
Sure,
right?
Of course.
Because it's like it's a big team, and not everyone can be a fan of World of Darkness.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think so one of the fun things that I did end up doing was, for a bunch of different groups, I ended up running Vampire the Masquerade one-shots.
That's cool.
And yeah, and like some of the people that it was in 5th edition, like they'd either never played a TTRPG, or they'd only played D&D, or they'd played a bunch of Vampire before. So I tried to group them up by experience, and like running them through that one scenario that I based in the Bloodlines 2 like world. I was like, I did this little story about them to kind of share what I loved about World of Darkness to them, and like I feel the feedback I got from that was that they really enjoyed it, but also it helped them understand if they'd not encountered the universe before. So it was a lot of fun being there with people, and I think yeah, it's after one of the sessions, the narrative designer, one of the narrative designers, like, that's no, because it was very early on when I joined. They were like, I think you need to play the game again, like, or like read the documents, because that's not that won't happen. I was like, good to know.
Oh, okay, all right, good to know.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaborations with our partnered vendors: Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Farrah the Bard, Champs Tramps, Pantry Artista, Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetebynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow St. Pete by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. Pete by Night. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/St. Pete by Night to help keep the stories rolling.
So you had a lot of kind of I'm sure a lot of expectations or a lot of hopes for the game going into it, obviously, because you've been excited for it, hoping for it. Had your own thoughts. Did you find yourself, I mean, obviously some of those expectations and hopes and thoughts probably changed once you got introduced to what they were doing. The reality set in of like, okay, this is the direction they're going in. This is what they're working with. This is what they're planning. Obviously that had to have shifted your mindset, because, you had to take what you were wanting and hoping for and be like, okay, these are the things that are going to happen. These are the things that aren't going to happen. So I got to just get rid of that, or get over the idea that this is going to be in the game, because it's not, or whatever, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I'm gonna say something that is not a dig at World of Darkness fans, but I have seen a lot of people, and essentially, I think that we've all had like 20 years to imagine our perfect follow-up to Bloodlines. And it's it's such a fantastically uh uncut gem kind of experience that was built in a very specific time, with a very specific like idea. And I think personally, um when I went back to play it before I joined the team, I went back to play through the entirety. I think I did like a Nosferatu run. Uh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Um, there's something really cool about Bloodlines, which in part is the fact that it's not actually like Vampire the Masquerade. There are some things about the style of that game that is not very Vampire the Masquerade.
Absolutely.
It's super cool. It's slick. It's like got its own style. But the vampire, because I played that revised campaign, and then my friends told me about Bloodlines, and so I played it in that order, and I was like, this is a very different experience. And I fell in love with that game, and it does have its own very specific thing going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's why people love it, right? But it's yeah, I'm not trying to, because I mean, as a community manager, you read literally thousands of comments about people who are in love or absolutely hate, but it's all because they care, right? And it's all because they really hope that either a part of their childhood or a part of something that was there for them in a tough time, or even just something that they enjoyed with a friend, will still be there. And it's so difficult to create something new with all of those feelings in mind. But you know, they're a really, really passionate and skilled team, and I think people, I don't know, I think people will like Bloodlines too, is all I'm going to say.
No, that's good. That's enough of an endorsement to me. Like, you were a fan of Bloodlines 1, you were excited about the game, you had your own frustrations with the process of it being delayed and everything like that. Like, you obviously were going through the same experience a lot of us are. So yeah.
What's the saying? It's a release game can be bad, but a delayed game will, you know, maybe eventually be good. What's the saying? It's more eloquent than that.
I'd rather they waited to put out something that they're happy with, that they think is worthwhile, because you see all these early access games that come out where you put it out and it's broken and it's buggy and it's having all these issues. I'd rather they waited. Just wait until you're happy with it. Wait until you've ironed out all the issues. Because if they put out a terrible release of this game, the anger of the people who've been waiting, the frustration, like, it would be tenfold than the disappointment of people who just, like, that they're going to get from some people, because fandoms be that way. You know what I mean? Like, any fandom, you're going to have people who are going to be like, this isn't what I wanted. They had it built up in their mind to be something. There's going to be those people. But if it came out and it was broken and buggy and incomplete, then it's going to be 10 times as bad. So just take your time. Take however long it takes. If it takes another 5 years, God, I hope not. But if it does, do it. Like, do whatever it takes. I would rather it takes that long and it comes out and it's good and it's finished and it's ready than if it came out, it was broken and they had to pull it back and they had to just keep fixing it. And it was, just yeah, that's my belief on it, is like, take as long as you need. I'd rather it came out and it was right than it came out and it was wrong. But yeah, that's a ringing endorsement to me, and that makes me feel relieved to hear from you. That's an endorsement to me that I can take comfort in, because yeah, you are clearly passionate about it. It's documented on your channel how passionate you are about it, and now that you've gotten to see behind the scenes and see the people working on it and their passion, to see what they've been working on, to work with them and introduce them to the game through your lens, and then to see how far it's come, that tells me something. That tells me good things. And the fact that you can walk away and say people are going to like this, or you think people are going to like this, that's all I need to hear to feel better.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure the opinions will
vary.
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
Yeah.
So there is still hope for the game. That's what's going to be my next question. Is there still hope that it's still going to come out? Because even now,
I'm not involved anymore.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. But
last you knew, it was still playing it.
I mean, well, what they've said is that it seems like they're kind of honing in on a release window. So that's the last thing I know, as much as you at this point.
That's true.
Yes,
that's true.
It's what did they say? It's goodness, I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah, no, it's they announced kind of the update to the release window
coming soon. We'll just say coming soon, because
definitely coming soon. I think they put like a month on it or something.
Oh well, good. Yeah, so anybody can look that up themselves. We'll leave it to that. But now let's talk about World of Darkness, the TTRPG, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because you come from Revised. A lot of the people I've talked to have come from 5th edition, and I'm not one of those people who gets into the edition wars. Like, I've never felt that way. I'm like, 5th edition introduced a whole new audience to it. I brought people in with 5th edition. When I had the choice between Revised and 5th edition, I chose 5th edition because I think it's much more easy to learn and accessible. So I'm not going to get into that, but I want to hear kind of what your thoughts are, because clearly it's not as complete as Revised, with all the splats that were already released and stuff with Revised. I mean, that everything's out for Revised. Everything's out for Chronicles of Darkness. With the direction that they went releasing stuff, and we had a great conversation with Justin Achille about this, so go back and watch that video, people, if you want to hear about it.
I would like to watch that.
It's a great chat we had about what their vision was for it when they were releasing it originally. But obviously they started with Vampire, then they went to Hunter, then they went to Werewolf. Where do you think they're going next? And why is it Mage, and what should it be?
It should be Mage. It should be Mage, shouldn't it? I really want Mage. I want Mage so much. I would literally write Mage for them for free. I have such a deep love of Mage. But from 20th, it needs to change. God, does it need to be different? Yeah, I really wanted to be Mage. Like, so I think, I hope there might be a kind of a big shakeup on the way, in terms of maybe how they release books and stuff like that. Just because I think there were a couple of things announced that got delayed a while back. I'm so behind on
well, they've got apostates coming out for Hunter the Reckoning, which is due out in June, and they've got Worm Fiends, which is their next Werewolf the Apocalypse book, which is sometime August, I think is what I last heard, coming out of them. But yeah, then there's a bunch of projects that are kind of up in the air that were originally. There's the Elders book that they were going to release at some point for Vampire as well.
Didn't Elders come out with Gehenna War?
No, they have
There is an
another.
elders part in
Yeah,
that
there's
book.
another one that they're releasing though that is
Okay.
pushed back. Oh no,
Oh yeah,
it's
no,
the
that's you're right.
like the memories one, the memorandum
Oh,
one.
Memoriam.
Oh,
Yeah,
memoriam.
that's
Yeah,
it.
that's the one.
Yeah.
That's pushed back. I believe got
Okay.
pushed back an unknown period of time. I may be
Yeah.
wrong about that.
No,
But there
I
was no
think.
splat announced this year, which was surprising because for the past 2 years there's been a splat announced each year. So that was a kind of a surprise. But I've been interested because and I'd love your insight on this because you actually do a deep dive and an analysis of the rules. They did an interesting thing. One, in the fact that all the rules structures seem to have enough in common that for the first time ever in World of Darkness, in my mind, you can actually run two games simultaneously, which you could not do before. Not in a balanced nature mechanically. Like even,
Hmm,
and again, Justin said this, they were never meant to be run together
no.
originally. And even now he says they're not supposed to be, but mechanically they can be because they use that 5 die system of
Yep.
rage and hunger and desperation. Like mechanically they're all kind of built the same, and they've lowered the power on all of them that they could theoretically all be run together, that you could have a hunter cell and a vampire cell in the same game, which is something we do here on St. Pete. um,
Hmm,
and it's possible to have them be balanced out together. Also, I've found that in the way they've been releasing the systems, it's very clear that they're kind of test playing mechanics for the next system based off of what system they release. So, for example, they had Vampire first. Everyone knew Vampire was going to be first. But the release of Hunter being second was an interesting choice
that was
because
a very
that's
pleasant
not a
surprise.
big system. That was not an
No.
expected choice. But some of the things they did in Hunter were clearly a setup for Werewolf. So when Werewolf came out, some of the things they're doing in Werewolf could be some of the mechanics they're either going to bring into Mage or
Hmm,
some of the mechanics they could bring into Changeling. So I'm interested to see if where they go from there is to try and take another kind of detour into something like Changeling or Wraith to further test play some stuff before going straight to Mage. Because as much as people are excited for Mage, Mage could also break everything. And that's what I'm really
yeah.
afraid for.
Yeah.
And I'd
It's
love to hear your
very.
thoughts on all that.
Yeah. It's difficult to know. Um, but I can only really say what I hope for and what I would do, which
Yes,
is
tell me.
um, I really, really hope that they do start releasing smaller splats. Um, like uh, in oh goodness, no, it's so difficult because the uh, the beautiful thing about the world of darkness is that each individual IP has its own themes and focus, right? Which is part of the reason why, even though mechanically you can run them together, they don't necessarily fit.
Right.
And I think a holistic view of the world of darkness, where you do get to bring in um, uh, different supernaturals into your stories more easily, is a lot more fun, because the world of darkness is this huge myth that kind of sits over the top of each of these individual silos, where we have the Weaver and the Wild, and all of that in Werewolf, and that part of the myth has absolutely no relation to Cain and his curses and the antediluvians of Vampire, where the kith and the kin. Sorry, not the kith and the. I'm thinking changeling. The Fae, um, like the full Fae. I've not played a lot of changeling, so I can't remember what they're called. Have and the dreaming have no bearing on what happens with the context of their mythology. Um, but I think the beautiful thing that Hunter did, and why it was such a pleasant surprise, is that it seemed to be built out of a philosophy of, this is not the world of darkness, this is your world of darkness, where each individual supernatural that you fight against as a hunter cell is a unique individual. It can have shadow powers, it can melt into goo, it can transform into a giant wolf, but it also happens to be made out of fire or and be inhabited by the ghost of a little girl. Like, literally the only thing that matters there is the scariest thing that can happen and the most surprising thing that can happen. Because I feel like that happens a lot. If you read Warhammer, if you read all of these universes too much, you'd stop being surprised by things.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think probably both of us, we've spent a lot of time learning about vampire. And if someone turns up and they've got a huge tall head, you're like, weird Samitsi. But if then they start, summoning something entirely surprising out of their butt, that's much more engaging than anything you can just kind of pull out of a book that we've all read before.
Well, I appreciate the Monster Hunter quality of it, that it does really appeal to the like supernatural fans of like, you're just fighting something, and it could be something drawn out of myth, it could be something drawn out of folklore, it could be just anything. It doesn't have to be from canon World of Darkness that's already established. You can just make something up. Mothman
literally,
might appear. Like who knows?
I literally use Mothman in one of my games. It's so much fun, and like even in the book, they're like, this guy is an old racist ghost, and he flies around on his giant flaming galleon. And you're like, well, I don't think that's a wraith, which is great, and it's so important to be able to do those things for new and old people at the same time, or like into the newcomers and to the world of darkness. And I think a lot of that is in the preparation of the books, where I think that became a problem for Werewolf was that there were a lot of, supposedly I feel like it was spaces for you to generate your own narratives just became questions unanswered for people that needed to know things about the universe and how to run their game and the themes of the game, where Hunter has a very clear like antagonist and motivation for your characters, which is protect your hometown or your loved ones from the scary dream monster that you don't know what it is and you don't know how to fight. That's a very kind of clear fantasy. Werewolf doesn't really provide that in the same way, where eco freedom fighters is a cool and really good concept, and it's worked for a long time. And they introduced like the Harano as well as the
Oglosk.
Oglosk. Having both of those is really, really cool, and they introduced a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, there were a lot of gaps where I feel like they could have put some structure in there to really, instead of being like, oh, it could be anything, it's like, no, this is the inspiration for then it to be anything for you. And just more places for people to create their own worlds of darkness in their own home games or fiction writing, or literally any way that they want to engage with World of Darkness is a big boon. And I feel like there are a lot of really cool opportunities for new people to engage with World of Darkness through hopefully they'll get the TV show or a film done. That would be just the most incredible thing. And just,
or even animation, with what they
animation
can do with animation, like forget
Yeah.
live action, just do an animated show. That'd be incredible. Absolutely.
Yeah. And just new ways for people to get into it is what I hope for it. And releasing Mage, I think, can be part of that if they really hone in on the I'm magic and I'm dealing with cosmic horror entities, or the horrible things that the consequences of my magic have and
Cash
can
in
do.
on that
And
Doctor Strange fandom.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it deals with demons. It's unknowable consequences of powers that are incredibly wide and varied, but are in reality beyond you, right? That's what we love about Doctor Strange. It's what we love about, goodness, what are magicians in media. But like, yeah,
Absolutely.
That's what I hope for. Is just like ways for new people to and like a bit of a reinvention.
So one of the things that has been really kind of frustrating for me with the 5th edition that I feel like they can't figure out what they want to do with, but it's one of the things that I loved most about the old editions, meta plot. I loved the meta plot, and I know this kind of feeling for a lot of people is varied, and it was really surprised to hear that Justin Achille hated meta plot, and he actually didn't want meta plot at all in 5th edition, which, again, surprising to me because it was such a foundational piece of World of Darkness for the longest time. I personally loved it. I loved the established NPCs. I loved the established cities and lore and everything like that. What do you feel about Metaplot? How do you feel with how they've incorporated it into 5th edition? Would you like to see more of it? Would you like to see more of the like city books and the like By Night or Rage Across books? Would you like to see it brought more into the forefront? Because I felt like they did kind of do it with like the Camarilla book and the Sabbat book and the Anarchs book, and obviously Chicago by Night, Fall of London, that kind of stuff. But then they immediately pulled back and stopped giving any information at all. And then with Werewolf, they were like, no meta plot at all. We're resetting the canon. We're forgetting it ever happened. But then they brought back, they put out the Shattered Nation book, which had lore sheets and it had meta plot, and it referred to things that happened in the old editions, even though they said we're resetting the canon. So there's a lot of contradiction in all of this. So how do you feel about how they've used it? Do you want to see them use it? Would you rather they didn't use it? What are your feelings on Metaplot as a whole? Do you like it? Do you like the lore that they have in World of Darkness? Just let's talk Metaplot for a minute here.
So like I say, from the first time that I played Vampire the Masquerade, I was deeply invested in learning about the metaplot. Like, it was literally a Gehenna campaign, which is the metaplottiest of metaplots. I was meeting all these canon characters, and like, even though it was a bit more superheroed than maybe the standard vampire game was, that was really cool and very investing for me. And I think, like you say, metaplot is foundational to what makes World of Darkness exciting. Did they do a bad job initially? No. I think the release of 5th edition introduced some of the most exciting metaplot in terms of the Vienna Chantry, in terms of Thin Bloods, and introducing one of my favorite characters, Fiorenza Savona, Prince of Mexico City, and having all of these, and with the Beckoning and the Gehenna War and all of this
Murder
stuff.
Murder of Harderstadt. Like
Harderstadt getting his head blown off. Love that. And like with the Ministry and the La Sombra and the Semitsi and all of these allegiance changes that are not only interesting for old players, but like I keep saying, new players just have a very easy kind of few hooks into the larger world. Metaplot was also a huge downfall of previous editions. There was too much of it. It got too complicated. It got too deep, and it got too restrictive. And I think that's inevitable when you've been building a game line for 10 plus years. But we're now in a phase where there isn't a lot of progress on those meta plots. I would really love answers to. I know they released a Gehenna War book, but it didn't really have anything in it about what the Gehenna War was, or any like deep options on what you could do with a Gehenna War in your campaign, which I thought it was a great book. I really did. But that was like something that irked me, and I wanted to know more. So if I if I was to do it, I would lean heavily on characters that we've met and loved already, like people from LA by Night, characters that can return, like Beckett or Fatima Al-Fakadi,
Lucida de Aragon,
Victoria Ash.
Yep.
Even I don't know what like the legal problems are. Because I think Activision owns some of Bloodlines, but like characters like
well, they had Jeanette. Yeah, they had her in the Anarchs book. They mentioned.
Oh yeah, they did. They had her in the Anarchs
lore
book.
sheet in the.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they can. Them.
I think they should be doing things, and I would really. I mean, this is easy to say, hard to do, but I would love to have them exist in the world, doing very specific things that players can then be like, where in the timeline is my game? Do I care if that character's actions affect me or the characters or the players, or the things that are happening from the live actual players that are official and stuff like that? And just having those opportunities to just kind of fall deeper down the rabbit hole. I love that stuff about World of Darkness. And it's what drew me into 5th edition so strongly at the beginning. And yeah, I want to know what characters from Redemption are up to now. There were like little hints here and there, or even brand new characters. Like I would eat that up. I want books. I want films. I want
lore
all of these
for
things.
The Swan Song characters, which was amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Having Boston established, like I love that they give us the option. Like one of the things that I hate about TTRPGs is that they always have to remind us that like these are, opportunities or possibilities. Of course you can do what you want. Like we all know that by now. We know that if you want to just throw all of the meta plot out and do what you want, you can. If I wanted to, make Chicago a city that was run by Malkavian and the Ventru had no part of it, and like there was no, I could. That's always been a possibility. Like the world is your oyster. If you want to run it based off the core book and get rid of all of the plot, you can. But it's still okay to still put that stuff out there. Like you can run a Forgotten Realms game in D&D and not have Dritz ever have existed or Elminster ever have existed.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You can do that. That's okay. That's always been acceptable and okay. But
it's interesting.
Yeah.
The I'm not actually that interested in them releasing lots of By Night or City books or Rage Across books. Like I don't think that's particularly applicable to the way most people play their games. But on the other hand, I think that Chicago by Night was one of the best books released for 5th edition, and people love it because the situation's really easy to understand. It's a mob rule. Jackson's at the top. He's an incredibly written character with so many possibilities for you. And even if you're not doing the high politics game, there are people at the bottom. There's either like, people that have fallen from grace, or there's, elders running around. There's like tiny little plots that you can meld and incorporate with what you want out of it. And people will do that. People will just use those things that inspire them. And I think that's a lot of what some of the books have lost is that those little hooks and inspirations that I've been craving.
Well, and I'm not even asking for like big hardcover books. Like they could do those little releases like Let the Streets Run Red and Ash and Bone, like these little floppy books that are just little stories that flesh out areas again. Like they did the whole Murder of Hardestadt. We have no idea the details of that event. And
I don't think we need the details of that event. We just need more events like that. Sure. That's what I'm saying is like, I don't care if it was literally Theo Bell stuck a shotgun underneath Hardestadt's head and he literally got it blown off. Because like people will be like, oh, but he's such a powerful adventurer. I mean, that's probably not what happened. It's hearsay. And you like just the fact that you can spread that rumor or throw that in someone's character's face is fun. And having more of those to kind of either build your campaign around or just add flavor to the world is a lot of fun. But I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, just to have those possibilities to just give you more information. Like if you're going to set something up, if you're going to put something out there, at least give it a possibility. Like if I wanted a Vienna book to go read about what happened in Vienna and get more information, why not? You want my money. You're a company. You're a business.
Yeah.
For those that don't want it, they don't have to buy it. But for those that do, they will. They will spend money to get it. And they're throwing money in the fire by not doing it.
I don't know if they're throwing money in the fire. I think so. I'm totally like airing all of my frustrations with World of Darkness here, but like the things that they've done for the community have been absolutely fantastic. And I am only saying these things just the audience know. I have a vampire channel. I absolutely adore World of Darkness.
Me too.
Which is why I think it's important to talk about. Oh yeah, no, exactly. There's a few layers to this, I feel. It would be really cool to see like the Gehenna War and Beckoning storyline progress into something else. Like elders have gone to the Middle East or to like various places around the world to do mysterious objectives called by their blood. And what? And I think that's something we can answer, but those are questions that World of Darkness needs to kind of pose to its next stories that it produces. That I would really love to see that. And then there's the kind of meta layer to it, which is the fact that publishing books is extremely expensive and hard.
That's true.
Making games is extremely expensive and hard. And these are industries that have fallen on tough times. And like the creatives that are in there really want to do these things. Sometimes even the companies really want to do these things. And it just becomes so difficult to actually make it happen sometimes. Where I'm sure they're working really hard for things that we've just not seen yet. Like TTRPGs, video games have fallen on hard times. And getting video games funded is harder than it's ever been. Getting books paid for and even printed is harder than it's ever been. So while that's not really our problem to fix as fans of this, it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I think that's my caveat to my rant of I want more stuff.
No, absolutely. And that's, you know what, that's a perfectly legitimate statement. And I think that, yeah, I can back that entirely. I also come back to make it a PDF. You know, like make it a PDF, and if you get enough interest, then try to print it. You know, make money off the PDF and then print it if it gets enough interest. If it doesn't, then you don't lose out. You got the money off the PDF, and you can just leave it at that. Like there are alternative ways to still make these things happen. Storyteller's Vault, perfect example.
They absolutely are.
There's stuff that's being put out and making money that they could also cash in on if they like. And there's people who are willing to write content, and there are people are obviously wanting this stuff. That's not to say that there isn't legalities and all these other things. And like you said, it's a business. There's so many other elements to think of that we as common fans don't know about. And so obviously it's a lot harder than it seems. But at the end of the day, it's like, yes, that's true, but there's got to be other alternatives that are being ignored. That I'm like, well, why not try it? Crowdfund it. So, like, do a Kickstarter for a Vienna book and see what response you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to bring up Kickstarter as well. I know there have been a lot of really successful Kickstarters. The one I'm looking at the moment that I think has been fully funded is Riverbank. Has that been fully funded? It's basically Wind in the Willows. Yeah, it's been fully funded. Yeah, like and that's just a tiny little game and PDF, and I think there's a print run coming. Like these projects do exist and have success behind them. Yeah, I guess business objectives can be tricky sometimes, but yeah, it's there's definitely things that will opportunities that should be explored. I don't know what's going on, but like I would love to see like a vampire game on Kickstarter or something.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is, like you say with the vault, it's an extremely creative community. Like people are making up their own stories, their own interpretations, literally all the time. So if there's nothing official, this community is so enthusiastic. We will fill in our own questions and answers and build our own things. And people are doing that all the time. And honestly, I can't remember who said it, but I remember a quote from like a TTRPG designer a few years ago that I heard that I thought was very funny, which is the trick to TTRPGs is getting to people to pay for something that they can imagine for free, which, you know, is pretty glib, but the real world of darkness exists in our heads. That's where it's always been. So as long as people enjoying it, that's the most important thing.
Wrapping up kind of our conversation about the world of darkness, what are your hopes for the future of the world of darkness? You said you want Mage to come out next. That totally makes sense. I think everybody would like to see at least the three tent poles of World of Darkness be out, which are Mage, Werewolf, and Vampire. Those are the three pillars. As much as others want Changeling or, you know, Wraith, or obviously we all want those too, but the three
we all want
pillars.
Demon the Fallen, right? We all want Mummy the what was it, Resurrection, Mummy the
Promethean. But yeah, I mean, like, what are your hopes for the future? Because you talked about like the release of books and stuff like that. You had feelings about that. What are your hopes for the future for the World of Darkness as a whole?
Ooh, lots of things.
Give me a few at least.
It's definitely. So number one, Mage. Honestly, I want Mage completely revamped. I want Mage to appear in it to be like a completely revamped and very cohesive world and game, because like going back to the tome that is 20th is intimidating, and I think there are so many missed opportunities in that kind of narrative style for things I would love to see. But on a grander scale, I want to see World of Darkness expand in the way that Warhammer has. I want to see books and animations. I want to see people like finding their own way to engage and having the opportunity to engage with it in all sorts of ways. And I think World of Darkness has that kind of opportunity. I want to see a utopia of World of Darkness, where there's you know, where it is available in every comic shop kind of thing.
Yeah, on the level of like
maybe
D&D
not Funko
or
Pops.
something. You can see D&D
Yeah.
everywhere. Why not? Why not World of Darkness?
But yeah, this whole multimedia thing is often quite played out, but yeah, D&D's growth is so interesting. Like, I don't think Hasbro. I saw an article that I agreed with a lot the other day that was like, Hasbro doesn't know what to do with Baldur's Gate 3 success, and like clearly Larian know what to do with its success, and I just want more versions of vampire specifically, because I think the more different studios take on, like we've all got a studio we wish would make a vampire game, but I think the more studios, big and small, take on a Vampire the Masquerade project, the more different kinds of vampire story we're going to see. Because I feel like even since the launch of 5th edition, it feels very, very, very rigid and similar, where you have the court and then you have the anarchs, who are a biker gang against the court. And I love that story. I would play that story 50 million times, but I also want new variations on what that can look like. I really want to see more opportunities for more studios of any kind of media get their teeth into it.
What advice would you give to somebody who wants to get into YouTubing or content creation?
Ooh.
I know it's a gear shift here. We're
kind of
wrap up your questions.
But wrap up your questions. Getting into content creation, I think I'm going to say the same thing you'll hear from a lot of creators, which is don't do it because you want to get paid. There's no money in it. Do it because you enjoy sharing whatever it is you're making. Do it because you want to create something. And the thing that I would tell myself, current and beginning, let it be bad. Like, if it's embarrassingly bad on the internet doesn't forget, but also like the internet doesn't care about rubbish things anymore. Like if it's bad in an uninteresting way, it will be forgotten. If it's bad in an interesting way, now that's when you'll go viral. I think,
and you'll get better at it too with practice.
It's practice. It is a lot of different skills making things, just from a YouTubing perspective, that you'll learn. And like don't put too much pressure on yourself. There are a lot of numbers involved, and the numbers have to go up, but they don't have to. Like, if you're enjoying yourself making something, there is that reward of, having a community build up around the thing, and seeing yourself get hundreds of views. But let it be a hobby, until like you are in an extremely privileged position of being able to push it to be a job, because once it becomes a job, jobs aren't fun. so keep it fun as long as you possibly can.
It's a good one. It's a good answer. Which of the 7 deadly X's in Scott Pilgrim was your favorite? Now, we know that's your favorite movie, as mentioned in our fun facts down at the bottom there. So which of the 7 deadly X's was your favorite?
Okay, let's do it by process of elimination. Katyanagi twins, really cool, like summoning fight scene. Not particularly interesting. I think it's Todd.
Okay.
I think it's the psychic vegan.
Yep, psychic vegan.
He's such an idiot. And then, he loses because he's an idiot. So I think him, and the first one, what was it? He's played by Satya Baba in the film.
Right, yes. Yeah.
He summons
the dancing girls.
demon.
hits the demon chicks.
Yeah. And that just like first fight sets the tone for the entire film and books in a fantastic way. So I think he's definitely my second favorite.
Did you see the Netflix series that they released, which was like the alternate universe version? I loved that.
The alternate universe one was so good.
It was really enjoyable.
I literally signed on because I thought I was just going to watch Scott Pilgrim again, but then it became something else, and I was really happy because obviously, in hindsight, you know, everyone was like, "This is a really cool film," and we weren't particularly critical of it at the time. But you know, obviously, Scott Pilgrim's a little bit toxic, but then he grows by the end of the film. I do prefer the film over the books, by the way. But yes, I think having that kind of retrospective on it was really, really interesting as someone who has grown himself. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. What's your favorite obfuscate power?
Oh man, I'm gonna say it is conceal.
Okay, that's a good one. Where you can like hide an object or hide a like location or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's so much more interesting than hiding yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, having it linked into Ravnos was also really, really cool, and into chemistry. I really love that with the illusions. Makes so much sense having chemistry as part of obfuscate. But I think conceal, just like making something else invisible that you want to hide.
How do you make the perfect gin martini?
Pay for it.
Get a professional.
I'm not a mixologist.
No, it's fine. That is a perfect answer. Honestly, just get a professional to do it. That absolutely makes sense. My last question for you is: what do you envision for the future of Strange Adventures? Like, what do you have planned? What do you have coming up? What would you like to see happen with the channel? I mean, you've already experienced so much success. You have so many subscribers. You have like the amount of views you get on your videos is incredible. Like what do you, where are you going from here? Where, like, what mountains do you have left to climb and conquer? Because it's so incredible what you're already doing. Where else do you want to go from here?
Honestly, because this is more of a project of passion for me, I have not set myself any particular lofty goals. I am happy to just keep making videos about Vampire and World of Darkness and video games and vampires in general and role-playing in general, in the same way that I have been. And I am not putting any pressure on myself to like gain any particular number of subscribers. Obviously, it would be cool if it grew. I really enjoy being part of the TTRPG community, but something that I'm going to be moving into, because I've gotten deeply into it, is Trench Crusade. Come out. I paid way too much money into that Kickstarter, and I'm just really excited about the potential of that world, as well as I am so in love with painting miniatures. So that's something that I'm going to bring to the channel as well. All kinds of miniature making and all the games and the stories that come along with that. There are things that I'd like to do that I probably can't, like battle reports for tabletop miniature games. That's a lot of work and takes a lot of things that I probably can't. But you know, if I get the opportunity, I totally will. But yeah, I'm going to expand into more different worlds that I just really love, and just keep trying to, like I say, keep it fun for me, and have a good time making and sharing the things that I'm passionate about.
Well, I want to give you this opportunity to plug yourself, anything that these people, these fine folks, can go see you on or follow you on, or all of the things. This is your opportunity to just promote all of the things before we say goodbye for the evening. Go for it.
Oh, yeah. So please follow me on Blue Sky, where I'm Jersh FTL. I can also be found at Strange Adventures on YouTube, which is where I will be doing all of that stuff. As well as I am... Oh, goodness. Where else can you find... I'm on TikTok, which...
Jersh McGersh on TikTok. Now, for us Americans, this is actually going out on Saturday. We pre-recorded this on Thursday, but if we still have TikTok on Saturday, which we're not sure, that's kind of up on the air. So if you're American and you're watching this and we still have TikTok, go follow, Josh on Jersh McGersh. But if we don't have TikTok and you're not American, go follow anyway. But if you're American and you don't have TikTok, well, we're out of luck. We'll hopefully get it back, and then you can go follow there. But definitely go follow on Blue Sky and YouTube for sure. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. No, if you want nerd clothed fits, that's where I put them on TikTok. Aside from that, I'm normally gaming FTL on anywhere that you can find me. I don't have a Discord. I think, that's the most important stuff.
Go check out Pod by Night, which you can see also on
YouTube. Of course. So that's probably the most important project. We're about to launch the Sin Providence on Pod by Night, which is on Twitch. You'll be able to see that there, and our Pod by Night YouTube channel where you get the VODs. Pod by Night for VTM.
Well, Josh, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. This was such a pleasure and such an honor to do this. I'd love to have you back on the show at a later date at some point, maybe when a new book comes out, maybe when the Mage book eventually comes out, we can go over it together and chat about our impressions on it, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm kind of new to the Mage world. I never really explored it, so I'd love to talk to an experienced mage head about it when it does come out, but this has been a delight. I definitely encourage everyone to go check out Josh's videos, especially if you're new to the game or you're still getting warmed up to it or warmed up to storytelling. The content is really, really digestible and accessible. And again, what a great speaking voice. You've been listening to it this whole time. Like, that's such a sweet and lovable speaking voice. How could you not just want to just watch videos of that all day long? It's so great.
You're too kind.
But I really appreciate you for being here.
Thank you for
go follow
inviting
St. Pete by Night on all of that social media you see up there. And if we're on TikTok still, who knows? Go follow us there. But subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can watch this on video on demand, as well as our series that we have, like Rage Across Tampa and Hellhounds, our Werewolf the Apocalypse series. You can see those on Twitch for Rage Across Tampa and YouTube for Hellhounds, respectively. And we'll be back with another After Dark in just a couple weeks, so tune back in for that. But for Josh, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely evening. Good night, everybody.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. After Dark is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Darknet. The host for After Dark is Kent. Visit our website at stpetebynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.